And welcome to Hannity. And we start tonight with a Fox News alert. Justice is coming. A bombshell announcement from the Attorney General Pam Bondi. The DOJ is now launching a strike force to investigate the possible criminal weaponization of the intelligence community under Barack Hussein Obama. Now, this comes only hours after the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, released even more damning evidence against the former Obama administration. And tonight, that is our top story, a very real scandal surrounding a very fake hoax that makes Watergate, frankly, look like a walk in the park. Trump-Russia collusion was a fantasy, a complete lie, phony, false conspiracy theory fed to Democrats and, of course, perpetuated by the state-run legacy media mob, by the most corrupt administration in modern history. Now, confirmation from the Director of National Intelligence. Nearly a decade ago, the Obama White House reportedly used the full force of your federal government to delegitimize the results of the 2016 election, malign the then President-elect Donald Trump before he even took office, and it was all based on lies cobbled together with an actual Russian disinformation dirty dossier bought and paid for by Donald Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, right here on this program, we sounded the alarm. We sounded it in 2016, 2017, 2018, and ever since. We reported the facts. We told the truth. We broke the news. And all the while, so-called journalists on other outlets pushed nothing but a salacious hoax. They peddled nothing but lies and conspiracy theories, of course, led by fake news CNN, MSDNC, and all the major networks. Take a look.
Look, I think that the president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump. The question is, did Mr. Trump cooperate?
Unlike President Trump, he has no doubt the Russians hacked the election.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
If you can get him to accept that Russia hacked the election, see if you can get him to accept who won the Civil War.
Definitively, Russia hacked the election, and Russia is doing it again now.
The legacy media definitively lied. All one big lie. Now, there's no debate. Today's newly declassified material from DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard paints a very clear web of corruption that leads all the way back to former President Barack Obama himself. Now, it all started with Hillary Clinton losing the 2016 election, and even before, no one in the Democratic Party actually saw Donald Trump winning. They thought Hillary Clinton had this in the bag. As it turns out, so did Russia. That's why, according to U.S. intelligence, Putin allegedly held on to potentially damaging information about Hillary until after the election. The Russians reportedly wanted to use this material to embarrass a, quote, President Clinton, which never happened. Take a look.
The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts, like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign.
And that's not all. According to Gabbard, there were also allegations about Clinton's mental state that Russia withheld during the campaign. Look at this.
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers.
All right, based on intel reports declassified by Gabbard in 2016, you had career intelligence officials, in other words, rank-and-file officials. They did not believe that Putin was working at all to elect Donald Trump, or that Russia even wanted Trump to win. But that didn't stop former CIA director, far-left hack John Brennan from making up an entirely different story. Take a look for yourself.
Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious, substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump. Brennan and the IC misled lawmakers by referencing the debunked Steele dossier to assess, quote unquote, Russia's plans and intentions, falsely suggesting that this dossier had intelligence value when he knew that it was discredited. The intelligence community excluded significant intelligence and ignored or selectively quoted reliable intelligence that contradicted the intelligence community assessment's key findings on Putin's alleged support for Trump. Including this intelligence reporting would have exposed the ICA's claim as implausible, if not ridiculous.
So Brennan used Hillary Clinton's dirty Russian disinformation dossier to create an alternative reality about the 2016 election, even though it was well known that the dossier was pure garbage. They were warned as early as August of 2016, do not trust it. It is political. And here's where it gets really interesting. Take a look.
On December 5th of 2016, the FBI and ODNI gave the House Intelligence Committee its first post-election classified briefing, in which there was no mention of Putin aspiring to elect Trump by either agency. The Presidential Daily Brief, drafted on December 8th of 2016, stated that no Russian or criminal actors impacted vote counts. This document was pulled just hours before it was to be published due to, quote unquote, new guidance. If it had been published, it would have been briefed to both President Obama and President-elect Donald Trump.
As it turns out, that new guidance, according to Gabbard, was coming from the top. Take a look.
On December 9th, 2016, a National Security Council meeting was called to gather President Obama's senior national security officials, which included CIA Director Brennan, then Obama DNI James Clapper, Susan Rice, and others. Following that secret meeting, DNI Clapper's assistant sent an email to the intelligence community with the subject line, POTUS tasking on Russia election meddling, tasking ODNI leaders to create a new assessment per the president's request. The House Intelligence Committee Oversight Report that we released today reveals that, quote, unlike routine intelligence community analysis, the intelligence community assessment was a high-profile product ordered by the president, President Obama.
Wow, per the president's request. Now, based on Gabbard's findings, it was Obama who allegedly demanded that new report that tied Trump to Russia, regardless of the facts on the ground, regardless of what the intelligence community came up with. Well, let's just redo it and rewrite history and make it in a way that will go after the next president. Obama's right-hand man at the CIA, John Brennan, then overruled the senior career intelligence officers that had it right in order to publish this fake smear against President Trump. Take a look.
The Intelligence Committee's oversight report reveals that CIA Director Brennan overruled senior CIA officers who challenged the Obama-ordered intelligence assessment, stating, quote, we don't have direct information that Putin wanted to get Trump elected. Yet, the Obama-directed assessment was published on January 6, 2017, which explicitly stated, quote, we assess Putin and the Russian government aspired to help President-elect Trump's election chances, when possible, by discrediting Secretary Clinton and publicly contrasting her unfavorably to him. End of quote.
So they basically took the real intelligence and flipped it completely on its head so they can come up with this narrative about Donald Trump. At the very core of this new bogus intel report was the dirty Russian disinformation dossier, as we said, bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump's opponent, and the DNC. Take a look.
With regards to the Steele dossier, we now know that one of the source documents that the Obama administration used in the creation of this intelligence assessment in January of 2017 was none other than the discredited, unverified Steele dossier. The House Intel report states, quote, contradicting public claims by then CIA Director Brennan that the dossier was not in any way incorporated into this intelligence assessment. The dossier was referenced in the intelligence assessment's main body text and further detailed in a 2-page assessment annex. John Brennan lied, and he denied using this dossier in this intelligence assessment that President Obama ordered because he knew it was discredited. It was a politically motivated, manufactured document. He directed senior CIA officials to use it anyway.
Now, to be very clear, according to everything you just heard, the nonpartisan director of the CIA threw out the real intelligence report, replaced it with a phony intelligence report filled with bogus information, again, with the Hillary Clinton bought and paid for dirty Russian disinformation dossier, and that was paid for her in 2016. We've gone over that in great detail many times on this program. Apparently, according to Tulsi Gabbard and the newly declassified documents, Brennan did all of this at the behest of then-President Barack Obama. Earlier today, we did reach out for comment from Brennan, Obama, and Hillary Clinton. We've yet to hear back. But this is, government corruption at its very worst. The dishonesty, almost unbelievable. They sabotaged a duly elected president, undermined an election, and if you've watched this program, well, you are getting the truth. When the rest of the state-run legacy media mob, as usual, were dead wrong. We told you the truth from the beginning. Take a look. Hillary Clinton actually colluded with Russia by paying, millions and millions of dollars for that fake news dossier, Russian propaganda, Russian collusion to smear Donald Trump. And she tried to influence you, the American people, to swing the election with those lies. Ironically, Hillary's the one that colluded with Russia with a phony Russian misinformation dossier. 3.5 years, Donald Trump colluded with Russia. The only one that colluded with Russia and bought a dirty Russian dossier was Hillary Clinton. And they used that unverified to spy on a presidential candidate and a president. Only at $1 for every time I said it. In contrast, you still are not getting the truth from fake news CNN, which cut away from DNI Tulsi Gabbard's historic remarks in the White House briefing room. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.